Hey there, in the first episode of the lifting table I told you about the dimensions and the mechanics and how everything will work hopefully when it's finished and why I want it to have these dimensions. And in this second episode we will actually start building the lifting table and we will start with all the frames. As I've done mostly woodworking so far, I didn't have all the equipment needed to be able to build this lifting table properly. So I'm very lucky I got Bessay to sponsor me all these clamps. They were really essential for this whole project. So a very big thanks for that. At first I tested the rectangular clamps and what's probably more important, I improved a little bit my welding skills before welding the frames of the lifting table. With a good enough test piece, I now could start with the real frame of the lifting table. At first, I cleaned up and chamfered all the edges of the already cut tubing with the angle grinder and a flap disc. The cleaning because you need clean surfaces to get nice welds with TIG welding, and the chamfering to make sure the weld goes through the whole thickness of the material to get strong welds. Very precise cut pieces and the rectangular clamps from Bessay make the layout and clamping pretty straightforward. I just had to make sure the distance to the edge is right and that the pieces touch each other to get them in the perfect place. I didn't have to worry about squareness as the clamps make a pretty good job. It's much easier to adjust these than with an in the corner clamped square. And it's also a lot easier to make sure to get a flat frame. Unfortunately, at this point my welder had just a scratch start, which was okay with a little bit of training. But to open and close the valve for the gas always was really annoying over time. And it felt like it was using a lot of gas, especially for these short welds, as there was a lot of waste gas between opening the valve and starting the weld, and of course also between finishing the weld and closing the valve again. It's the next morning and yesterday I almost finished this first frame. They're just missing the fillet welds in the corners, and then I'll go on with the plates for the casters to mount to. This piece came out pretty nice, the dimensions are perfect, it's flat and square, so it couldn't have been better. And it's my first part, so I'm very happy with it. And here you can see the point with the waste gas. It's not much, but it sums up. I wanted to mount these casters to the frame with these plates by just welding the plates to the frame and then screwing the casters to the plates. But I didn't order material for these plates as I thought I could just make them out of some scrap pieces. But unfortunately I couldn't find any scrap piece that fits for that job. So I think I just screw the casters directly to the frame with 2 screws here and 1 there in the middle. But therefore I need a hole in here and need to drill the holes into the frame and tap them. I think that's a much simpler and faster solution and good enough for this job. I've just made these two dummies that will sit over here. They are templates for the metal ones. I've cut these out with my CNC, but my CNC isn't able to handle metal or steel, so I'll use these as a template to make them with the angle grinder. I'll make them out of this 10mm thick steel plate, and it would be nice to have a plasma cutter for this, but I don't have one, so I'll see what I can do with the angle grinder and how close I'll get to these templates. I've got this awesome machine from Fine. It's a Mac drill. I'm very lucky, Fine helps me out, and I have to say a huge thanks to them for giving me this machine for this project. Without this machine, I wouldn't have been able to make this project. As I'm still a beginner in metalwork, I have never used a Mac drill before, so I have no comparison. But I'm very impressed how fast and easy you can drill a hole that big through this piece of steel. I tried to get pretty close to the shape I needed already with the bandsaw have to do as little as possible with the angle grinder. I was surprised how well it works to cut into the angled edge of the steel without the blade running off. The rest was just a whole lot of grinding, first with the cutoff and then with the grinding wheel. I clamped the template directly onto the steel part to have a better orientation for grinding. Yes, this way the template is just a disposable product, but as I need just two of them, I think it's okay. And this is how they came out. I am happy with it and I hope it's precise enough. But I won't weld these four parts to the frame now, as I want to do that together with the scissor frame in place that will be mounted to these plates. So, this was all about the base frame of the lifting table. In the next part I'll show you all about the two frames of the scissor and about the top frame as well. I hope you enjoyed that video, let me know that in the comments. Make sure to not miss the next part, and thanks for watching. Have fun with your projects.